Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann, and I'm flying solo on this one.
And it begins.
And I'm going to tell you a little story about something going on in my life, and then explain why I feel it's worrisome and impactful. So I did an episode a long time ago with Tim where I talked about all the kids in my family. Each had their own special bowl, their own colored bowl and cup to match. It came as part of a set that we got at IKEA. So my youngest daughter, Bug, hers was the yellow bowl and cup, whereas mine is green and my son's is blue, and my other kids have pink and purple, and then orange is up for grabs.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Anyways, so I recall having this thing on the kitchen table, and then I don't know where the fuck it went. And what's distressing is, when I lose things, I can't stop trying to find them. Like, I cannot physically stop my brain from worrying where this fucking item has gone. And it has been like a week and a half of this thing missing now, and it's driving me nuts. And the issue here is that I think it may have accidentally gotten thrown in the garbage or the recycling, but I didn't realize it till the day after garbage and recycling went out. So if it's gone, it's fucking gone. And I feel terrible because this is my baby girl's bowl. It has been her bowl since we bought these when my wife and I got married and the family all came together and they all got their own special bowl, right? It predates the boy. So now it's like, shit, this thing that has been hers for 6 years is gone and it's my fault. Now, one thing that a lot of people that have known me for a while can tell you is that I'm known for my strong memory. And not just like, oh, I remember when this happened, I remember when that happened. I mean, very extensive sensory details about things that happened to me as far back as fucking like 35 or more years ago. I can still name everybody in my kindergarten class photo. I can tell you shit that happened to me decades ago as if it happened yesterday in order of sequence, and still bring up quotes of shit that transpired like 5, 8, 10 years ago. So misplacing something and then thinking that a lapse in memory or cognition could be the reason is very troubling, because now that I'm 40 plus, 41, you start to see a decline in your cognitive acuity. Your short-term memory is not as strong, and you're not as sharp as you used to be. You don't recall things as quickly. And one thing I joke about when I can't remember shit that I obviously know or have known for a while is I'm like, when it finally comes to me, I just say, sorry, brain was on dial-up speed today. So why is this a big concern for me? Because when you're known for your memory and you can so vividly recall things that happen to you throughout your whole life, the idea that you are having a cognitive decline that could result in the loss of the ability to do so is frightening. Because I look at people I've known that had Alzheimer's or dementia that were my clients when I was a social worker. And my father-in-law especially has prefrontal lobe dementia, Lewy body dementia. It's fucking terrible. And what these people end up doing is forgetting who they are and what's going on and things that happen. They don't recognize their loved ones. And that's scary to me. I don't ever want to forget things that happened with me and my kids, or things that happened to me in my life that I enjoy recalling and telling the stories of. I mean, imagine taking somebody like me that tells stories very well and with good delivery for comedic effect, and that I lose a lot of the details. It's not going to be the same thing. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to lose something that I'm known for, and that's fucking scary. Now, I've got other friends that I ask them, hey, remember this, remember that? They're like, no, I don't recall. Hey, do you remember what you got for Christmas or some of your Halloween costumes when you were a kid? No, man, that was so long ago. These people are all frequently marijuana smokers or drinkers. I don't know why, but as they said in the movie Half-Baked, marijuana affects the memory. Right? So now I'm facing this shit where I'm scared that one day I'll start to lose my mind here. I'll start to lose who I am. I'll stop being able to recall all the fucked up things that were done to me or said to me by
The Beast.
or my mom. And then how am I going to let them have it when we argue? I want to be able to recall all this fucked up shit in a way that I can just dole it out like fucking multiple rounds from a hate-fueled Gatling gun of comeuppance. I don't want to lose that. But if you look at what they do to people to test them for memory loss, is they'll bring you in and they'll sit you down and they'll give you a test known as the Mini Mental Status Examination, or MMSE. And that is a test that's usually conducted by a doctor or a specialist and takes about 5 minutes to complete. It's the most common test for screening of dementia and assesses skills such as reading, writing, orientation, and short-term memory. And that last one is really the crux. It's because before they start the test, they'll say, okay, I'm going to read you some words right now. I want you to remember them. And they'll give you like 3 non-related words to go off of, right? So what I did is, because I was having issues remembering certain things, I wanted to give myself one of those tests where I have a list of things I memorize. And if I'm feeling off, like in the morning, like maybe I ate too much sugar, which for some reason processed sugar makes me a fucking retard the next day. Holy shit. Or I don't get enough sleep, to test how sharp I'm going to be for the day. I came up with my own list. The first one, for some reason, I could not remember this guy's name over and over again. It's hard to forget him. He's that stupid pop singer guy with the bad facial hair and tattoos. It's Post Malone. Second would be a machine we have at work. It's got a tall stack. It's used for getting full pallets down, and it can hold much more weight than an order picker. That's called a reach truck. The next one would be Andrew Ridgeley, who most people have no idea who the fuck that is, but that is the other guy from Wham who was not George Michael. I don't think he is celebrated enough, and I wanted to add him to this because I'm a fan of Wham, and I want Andrew Ridgeley to get his flowers. The next one, SpongeBob reference, Golden Spatula. And the final one of the 5, Wendy Jo Sperber, who was an actress and comedian in the 80s and was known for movies like Bachelor Party or the show Bosom Buddies, and then later on had her own sitcom with 2 other gals called Babes, and only ran for 1 season in the very early 90s when Fox was just getting started. And I thought she was funny, and oddly she's an attractive chubby girl, or at least she was back then. She's dead now.
Aw, bitch.
But yeah, so when I'm sitting there at work in the morning and I feel out of it, I'm like, okay, here we go. Post Malone, Reach Truck, Andrew Ridgeley, Golden Spatula, Wendy Jo Sperber. And then I tried to fucking expand it, just, because I want to make sure that I stay very mentally agile. So then I expanded it to Dodge Viper, coolest car when I was a kid, Mookie Blaylock, famous NBA player, Guacamole, who doesn't fucking love that, John Tesh, John fucking Tesh, Entertainment Tonight, the guy who made the basketball song for fucking NBA on NBC. And then finally, Water Balloon. No significance, I just wanted a 2-worder there and to kind of zazz it up.
It needs zazz!
So then I test myself with this. I can always get through the first 5, right? And then the next 3, Dodge Viper, Mookie Blaylock, Guacamole, fine. And then I've had to change what 9 and 10 are repeatedly because I keep fucking forgetting them. And it's like, God damn it, it's only 10 things. I can tell you who all 25 fucking kids were in my kindergarten class photo from 1987, but I can't fucking remember a 9th and a 10th line item when trying to test my own memory. Am I losing my shit, or am I just trying to put too much pressure on myself? I don't fucking know. For years, though, I used to do the crossword puzzle in the weekly local paper, right? And I was really fucking good at it. I kicked its ass up one end and down the other to the point where other coworkers would get pissed off at me for being further than them in the puzzle. And one girl in particular once thought I was cheating because I had it almost done and she had like 5 answers. And I'm like, oh, does your master's degree not help you with memory? That's interesting. Ask me about all the hundreds of useless fucking facts up here, and then I'll get back to you with how you somehow can't seem to go an entire shift without calling for our white shirt to help you figure out simple shit. And she did not like that. But she was more pissed off I was better at the puzzle than her. Well, a lot of people still marvel at my memory, but none have ever gotten pissed at me for it. Unless, of course, it's
The Beast.
who's mad that I remember all the fucked up shit she did.
I don't know what your fucking power struggle bullshit is.
Or my mom, who likes to gaslight me by denying all the fucked up shit she did. Overall, though, having a strong memory and being able to recall specific details of situations that you've been involved in or lived through with quotes is a great way to be able to shut anybody up that tells you you're not remembering right or that questions what happened to them. Because I have made some motherfuckers' eyes bug out at what I could recall happened. Like, for instance, being able to name all of my elementary teachers still. Because back then, in the late 80s and 90s, you had like one teacher all day. Maybe sometimes you'd go to a different room for math or English, but otherwise, you remember all their fucking names, and people are like, wow, that was a long fucking time ago. Yes, it was. Or if you can recall TV shows that have been forgotten because they were from 30 years ago and they only got one season. In this instance, the show Babes, which ran on Fox. Or the spin-off of Married with Children that nobody remembers called Top of the Heap. It starred a then unknown Matt LeBlanc as Vinny Verducci, a character he reprised from guest roles on Married with Children. You may remember Matt LeBlanc as going on to be super successful as Joey on the show Friends, which I think is garbage and is not fucking funny at all. Why is this so important overall, though, is because if you want people to believe what you tell them, if you want to be able to be seen as somebody that's not just confident but competent, you can speak so well, so fluidly, that you can just recall all these things that happen and you can leaf out all these ideals. And if you can't recall the points you're trying to make in a conversation to convince anybody of anything, how the fuck do you ever hope to be seen as effective or convincing or as a leader? Because I started finally doing stand-up comedy, albeit only for my friends in my garage, but I started doing it on my 40th birthday. That's a long fucking time to wait, prepping to finally live a dream and learning how to memorize a whole routine and hoping you don't fuck up the bullet points. Now, if I'm going to keep doing this year after year, multiple times for my friends and maybe even give it a go in a club at some point for an open mic nights and shit, I need to remember my material. But the problem is, I do better when I just freestyle shit and my imagination goes wild and I either parody songs on the spot or do character voices or reference other jokes or inside long-standing jokes, shit like that. If I start losing my fucking mind, well, then I'm going to stop fucking being funny. I'm just going to be that sad guy that used to be a barrel of laughs that can't remember what the fuck direction he's coming or going from.
Frustrating.
Finally, I'd like to point out how unable to fucking retain data kids these days are with their stupid fucking constantly internet-connected pocket computer devices.
Oh, really?
These sons of bitches don't even know their parents' fucking phone numbers. If you ask them, they go, oh, I gotta look that up, it's in my phone. No, not with your phone off the top of your fucking head. If I need to call my parents, I know their home number. I know my mom's cell phone number. Big Neil's fucking phone number growing up because I've dialed it literally thousands of times. Like numbers and shit like that are stuck in my head. That's an important thing too, because if you're caught in a pinch and you need to contact somebody and you don't have your phone or you don't have Google Maps, how the fuck do you find some place you've been to only a handful of times? Well, I drive there once. I pretty much photographically memorize the route and then I can get there again. Pretty fucking easy. Not everybody can do that shit. So I'm not going to say an extraordinary talent, but it's an ability that I have that if I didn't have it, I would be fucking floored at, oh my God, I'm losing my shit. So just to wrap this up, I accidentally threw away my daughter's special bowl, I think. And it's because I'm getting old and apparently somewhat senile. And in a senior moment, I didn't recognize this thing is not fucking garbage. And maybe it's still here. I don't know. I've torn the house apart dozens of times. Nobody can find it. I don't know what the fuck to do. Hoping it just mysteriously pops up. I could buy a new one, but that defeats the purpose of finding it and having that fucking sense of accomplishment. Because I have retraced my steps a bunch of times, and all I'm hitting is a brick wall of fucking ambiguity. And I'm just hoping that this is like an isolated incident and not going to be like a reoccurring problem where shit goes missing and it's because I misplace it and I can't remember where it went. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann. And that's the end.
You can stand to zazz it up a
No
little bit
offense,
more.
Chris Kirk, but I gotta say, this whole thing, it lacks zazz. Well put.
Did you just put it on the Zazz train to Zazz?
Yeah, because no offense, there's absolutely no zazz to be found